Hello everyone, P. McGee here with another draft battle analysis video and recap, this time looking at my week 2 match in the UDL against Patepic and his Boston Melmetals. I hope I got his name right. As it stands, I am 0-1 in this league, having suffered a pretty frustrating week 1 loss in which I got bodied pretty hard by Stall. My Stall was very unsuccessful in beating a person-person Stall, so now I'm looking to rebound in my week 2 match, get this season back on track, and see if I can get some better synergy out of this team. So before we get into this match, we're going to take a look at the options that he had available to him, and then the pieces I brought to best address it. So he's got some things that are pretty fun to work with here. The Landorus Therian is particularly scary. I have a good answer to it, but it's something that can sweep if left unchecked. The Zeraora, really good mix attacker, can do some fun setup sets, things to be wary about. Jirachi's basically like a slightly lesser Mew in terms of versatility. I need to be able to address a couple of sets. One of the most concerning, obviously, being the Cosmic Power set. Mega Gyarados can do a lot of damage if left unchecked. The Pyukumuku is not a great answer to it because it can entirely ignore the unaware ability with its mold breaker ability, so it can safely set up behind a sub, and that's something I need to be wary about. Porygon 2 is just good momentum for him to work with. Gives him some good pivot potential to get back into those, breaker options from above. Roserade, not super scared of Roserade. Roserade actually has a really weird matchup against the Chestnut, who we'll get to because of Bulletproof and Roserade's lack of access to Sludge Wave. Moltres, fully expected to come. Very difficult to deal with Wall, and it kind of puts me into relying on the Mega Diancie a bit to get past that. Rabambi, very scary web setter, good speed tier, obviously a concern. Hitmonchan has access to Bullet Punch, so it's one of those things that's a sneaky answer to Mega Diancie just because it can blast right through that with Iron Fist and Bullet Punch. And then Lycanroc Midnight, who is not a very good mon, and I really don't expect to be there, but it's an option he has to work with. So with that in mind, we'll get over to my team build. Mega Diancie is, of course, going to be coming this week. Just a good mon to have. I pretty much never have a reason to leave it behind. It is not going to outspeed Zeraora, so there's no point in worrying about that. The 330 is to get me past base 100, which is the Jirachi. Moonblast, Earth Power, Power Gem, Toxic. Toxic is really specifically for the Porygon 2. The last time I had to face one with a Mega Diancie, it was just one of my better ways of dealing with it. Just slap it with a Toxic on an obvious switch in, so it puts it on a timer, makes it less reliable as a check to Mega Diancie in a long game. So just good answer there. And then Stab, just as really good options. Earth Power to really help with the Jirachi as well as the Zeraora. Zapdos, kind of defensive, although it has some speed creep. The speed creep is to specifically get past the Gyarados so that I can outspeed the Gyarados, just so that it doesn't have a free chance to set up on me. I want to make sure I can go first in those opportunities, just so I'm best off to handle it. Roost to get health back. Whirlwind is very specifically for dealing with that aforementioned cosmic power set on like a Jirachi, just so it doesn't set up on me too much. Toxic to put other things on timers, and then opting not to run the defog this week, hoping that he doesn't hazard stack too much. The chestnut, Rocky Helmet set, Leech Seed, Spiky Shield, Drain Punch, really just there to be a frustrating wall. I debated running Rock Slide, but I like Drain Punch as an answer to both the Porygon 2 and then helps with the Mega Gyarados as well, so it can't sit behind a sub. Chestnut is really, really good in this matchup. Zeraora has a hard time dealing with it. Play Rough is not going to 2-hit KO it. Landorus only gets around it with running like a Power Herb Fly set. Jirachi obviously is going to be a problem. Gyarados can be a problem with, say, Bounce or something like that, but overall doesn't have an easy time dealing with it. And then Roserade doesn't have access to Sludge Wave. Sludge Bomb is not going to hit me because of Bulletproof, so it just doesn't have an easy way to hit me. Obviously, Urami's going to blast right through me, but to be able to wall out a lot of his physical offensive options with this Chestnut is really, really helpful in this match. And then Spiky Shield lets me farther whittle things down with the Leech Seed stall as well. The Greninja choice specs, Dark Pulse, Scald, Water Shuriken, U-turn, going back to the more reliable special set. Water Shuriken is some really good priority to work with, helps with a setup Landorus, helps with a Zera Aura if it's weak and ready to be KO'd, helps with a Rabambi, who I don't outspeed, just slightly faster than me as the Rabambi. So good way to pick up KOs late game if needed. And then speed creep to get past the Jirachi. So pretty good speed spot because it lets me run the timid nature, or the modest nature to get the extra power. Makes me really, really potent. Licky Licky, pretty reliable, simple set. Body Slam to basically fish for status. Lets me smack things like Jirachi around, or Porygon around, or Moltres around on predictive switch ins, and maybe get status on them, even Landorus as well. So just a good way of staticking things that might need to be shut down with their speed tiers. And then just a pretty traditional Wish Protect Heal Belt as coverage moves. And then finally, the Nidoking, Choice Scarf, because it gets me past the Zero Aura, so that's a nice speed tier to hit. Physical, just because I like its breaking ability for Porygon, once Porygon's shipped down, or Moltres, if Moltres is maybe more on the Spadef side. Zero Aura it can help with as well in case a Combine Zero Aura set shows up. Then this Nidoking is better equipped to handle that because Earthquake pretty reliably one-hit KOs. Ice Punch is good coverage for the Landorus, which it almost one-hit KOs, I believe, even if it takes the Intimidate. And then Superpower is a good way to hit both the Porygon and the Mega Gyarados in case they need to be taken out of the match. And then Rock Slide very specifically, obviously, for the Moltres. Uh, need to run the Jolly Nature so that I can hit that 283 stat, which gets me just past the Zero Aura. So that's the team. That's what I'm going for in this match. Really just trying to get some hazard up and use Chestnut as a wall, Licky Licky as some wish support, and then do some breaking with the Diancie, the Greninja, the Nidoking. So we'll dive into this match. I promise it is not nearly as long as the last one. Let's get this back to normal speed. So I look at this team. Rabambi is the obvious leadoff, so I want to lead Diancie because Diancie just has the easiest time counter leading this. Rabambi isn't really in a position to click Stun Spore because it could get Magic Bounce back. It doesn't really want to click Sticky Web because it could get Magic Bounce back. That's the nice thing about Rabambi is when you see it in team preview, it often wants to lead, and so Diancie was just a really good counter lead to scare that out. I'm not going to aggressively hard call the switch. Maybe I should have, but just click Power Gem. Pretty easy and free to click. Nice thing here is not only does it force the Rabambi out, it tells me the item on Jirachi, so I know I'm not dealing with any sort of choice set. So I know this Diancie outspeeds the Jirachi for the rest of this game, which is just helpful information. Obviously, I can't stay in on that. Jirachi is very smartly not running a physical set. It does not want to get obliterated by static on Zapdos. It's not well equipped to handle that. There's some options for him to run something particularly potent, maybe like a Meteor Beam sweep set, but it does not seem that's the case, which is good because he's running the leftovers instead of the Power Herb. Stealth Rock, obviously a concern for me. I expected a switch out here just because I have Heat Wave access and I thought he would respect that option and maybe switch out into something else, although his switch out options really aren't that great. So to be fair, he was not unwise of him to stay in. Unfortunately, like I said, I did not bring Defog to this match, and so these rocks are a slight concern. It really incentivizes me to get spikes up as soon as possible to just counter hazard him. Psychic is doing a little concerning bit of damage. Nice, very fortunate critical hit with the discharge. Unfortunately, unable to generate the proc. Forces Zero Aura in, which is good. Gives me a free window to click Roost. Plasma Fists come in. Obviously I'm in roll range. I don't like my odds, so I'm not going to stay in on that. Chestnut is just really well equipped to handle a Zero Aura, especially a physical Zero Aura. Bait Zero Aura in. Zero Aura takes the chip from the Rocky Helmet plus the Toxic chip, so just a really quick 28% on it through Chestnut. Spikes, really helpful to get down, just makes it harder for them to counter hazard play on me. Slicky Licky needing to get that heal bell off. Obviously, body slams are pretty free here. Hitmonchan comes in. Obviously, the big benefit of Hitmonchan in a matchup like this, and it's clear he wants to put hazards down. He's already put rocks up. He has Rabambi here, which obviously has webs to play. It led, so it's presumably webs. Rapid Spin on the Hitmonchan is just really good tech to have for this matchup so that he can hazard stack on me and I can't counter hazard stack it on him as easily. So just a good piece for him to have. I'm going to heal bell on the obvious switch in just so Licky Licky can keep pivoting into this match. Chestnut comes in pretty easily on Hitmonchan here. Obviously, it's going to Rapid Spin. It's expected. Pretty good window here for me to click Leech Seed just to help deal with this Jirachi so Jirachi still gets whittled down. Chestnut gets all of its health back on a spiky shield here. Interesting thing about flash cannon. I believe that is a bullet move, and so it would not have hit chestnut, but it could have easily just have been psychic. So there's really no reason for me to do anything besides click spike each shield and scout for that to get some health back. I can't stay in with chestnut anymore. Moltres comes in, which is fine. Licky Licky isn't going to beat it, but if it can generate a paralysis, that would be really helpful here because that's kind of what we're fishing for. Licky Licky doesn't really care if it gets burnt. In fact, it might be easier to be burnt so that I'm not dealing with the toxic wear down. Heal Bell here, really easy and free to do. I know this probably isn't a setup Zero Aura, nor does it have time to set up anymore. So I'm willing to actually sit in here with Licky Licky and just kind of 1v1 the Zero Aura, just since it can't really pressure Licky Licky with the toxic stall contributing to its death. So he wisely switches out. I'm gonna, waste a body slam. Unfortunate thing here is he has a free sticky web opportunity. I didn't mega evolve my Diancie here for a couple of reasons. One is it makes it fragile. Two, in case he does get sticky webs down, an unevolved Mega Diancie is just going to be more helpful here because Clear Body doesn't get affected by the sticky web. So that way I can time my Mega Evolution more specifically and still be at max speed. So if I can deal with the Jirachi and the Zera Aura, and I guess the Hitmonchan, then Diancie's in a much easier spot to clean up the Rabombi, the Gyarados, and the Moltres. So I don't want to impede it with a bad speed stat right now if I can. Body Slam on Lucky Lucky's nice. I can't paralyze the Rabombi given its Shield Dust ability, so it protects from that secondary effect, but that's fine. Own Tempo was a mistake of an ability. I obviously don't want that. Oblivious is what you want, so you can't be taunted. Fortunately, it seems like he did not bring taunt because he understands Licky Licky normally runs that, so it was just a unfortunate mistake. Ends up playing to my benefit a little bit as I avoid the Intimidate and I generate the paralysis, which is really big to keep Gyarados in check. So that was a notable turn. Hurricane comes in, which is not going to do anything to Licky Licky, but he was obviously calling a Chestnut switch in, and Chestnut would have been obliterated by that Hurricane. That just does so much to Chestnut, who has no special defense investment and is a quad effective move. And this Gyarados has a respectable special attack stat. It's not nothing. So really good. I switched into the Zapdos here. I felt that was a safe enough window to do. I didn't think I would die to an unboosted waterfall. But he gets the confusion, which is obviously concerning. I get the roost, which is what I need right now to stay healthy. Waterfall confirms it would not have done enough. So now I'm going to try to keep healing. Zero Aura isn't well positioned to beat this Zapdos. I'm going to hard switch to Chestnut anyway because Chestnut can just wall out the Zero Aura so much better. And getting Zero Aura out of play is very helpful to letting Diancie clean up a game like this. Moltres is going to come in. I'm going to put Spikes back down just so that he has to use his Hitmonchan even more in this match. Nidoking comes in. The nice thing about going -1 speed here and being a Choice Scarf is that it baits the Moltres into staying, and I'm a Choice Scarf Nidoking, so I don't necessarily outspeed max speed Moltres, but max speed Moltres isn't what's going to show up here. It's almost always some form of defensive Moltres. It's even running leftovers, so this should not be max speed, but it's going to think it's faster than me now because of that -1 speed. So the Scarf comes in really helpful here because I get this Rock Slide off, which doesn't KO the Moltres, but breaks it to the point of no return, which is really, really notable. So I'm going to come in with Greninja. I'm going to click Water Shuriken because that's the safest move to click. I don't want to take any chances here. The Rabombi comes in. I have a fair chance to KO this Rabombi with a Water Shuriken. It's not a guarantee. I do need 3 hits. So the odds are in my favor, but they're not a guarantee. And the Rabombi's going to KO me with Moonblast. So it's a somewhat risky situation. And I kind of want to preserve this Greninja to help deal with this Jirachi in case I need it, or this Hitmonchan with Water Shuriken. So I'm not yet ready to throw away this Greninja because there's not a ton of momentum to be gained back for doing so because I'm not yet in a position where Diancie cleans up. So I don't want to throw away offensive pieces at this point. Jirachi comes back in. I'm going to start body slamming, just fishing for that paralysis because that's a really helpful way to get rid of this Jirachi. Psychic comes in, still fishing for paralysis. I finally get it, which just makes it easier for Greninja to clean that up now that it's going to be faster. I think I go for a wish here because that's the best thing to do. So it's a slow path to dealing with this Jirachi, which is now starting to calm mind. So this is actually a pretty scary Jirachi. And it's not going to sweep me. It's not going to break me because it's paralyzed, but obviously it's of some concern. And now I'm near the point where I can get it. I can't wish on this turn, which is unfortunate. I need to body slam, so it's at 11% right now. Body slam will do around 12%, so body slam will clean up the KO. So I don't have the window to safely click wish and then whittle it down. I was just hoping for a paralysis proc there, which I don't get, unfortunately. But I do remove the Jirachi, which is notable. Takes it out of play. Really helpful for me. Zero Aura is going to come in. I believe I protect here because it's nearly dead and I'm trying to get rid of it. And then I should call here that he's going to go for like a fire punch on the chestnut switch in. I believe I still do it anyway, which is fine. Chestnut doesn't mind picking up this KO. I'm not well positioned to deal with Rabambi. I don't necessarily, well, actually, I kind of want it for Hitmonchan still. I mean, obviously my Zapdos will handle it fine enough, but Chestnut would have been preferred to be healthy for the Hitmonchan, so Hitmonchan has no momentum. So it would have been maybe best to throw away Licky Licky there, but I get Licky Licky's value to keeping this Rabambi in check. Hitmonchan comes in. It's going to go for the KO here. Smartest thing it can do. It doesn't need to rapid spin yet. I believe Zapdos is the easy and safe switch in. Discharge is pretty free. I think this is an AV Hitmonchan. Thankfully, I get the Paralysis proc, take Hitmonchan out of play. Bombi comes in, a really easy discharge window for me again. It's kind of on its last limbs. And then the Mega Gyarados is about to come in. I'm not worried. This game is won. Whether or not it can't kill me in 2 turns, and I can get it with discharge in 2 turns easily. But I only need 1, so Zapdos gets it right off the bat. So this is a good recovery after a bad week 1 performance. Pretty strong performance from Zapdos. Chestnut did a good job of handling the offense, and Chestnut was clearly such a problem in his prep that he not only brought Hurricane Mega Gyarados, but he entirely did not even bring the Landorus, because Landorus could have skirted Zapdos with like a Rock Polish Stone Edge set or Scarf Stone Edge. It had options for Zapdos. It clearly didn't want to run that a very specific set for the Chestnut. So it just made Chestnut a really difficult to deal with wall. And so Chestnut was able to kind of really influence the counter prep, which is all you can really ask for out of like a 9-point mon is to influence in that way. Didn't need a lot of dancing that match. So overall, very content. Moved to 1-1. Try to get my differential back on the positive side in the next one. So stay tuned.